Imagine this. You wake up one morning next to her, the woman you once thought only lived in your dreams. She's everything you ever wanted, her scent on your sheets, her legs gently tangled around your life, her soft voice speaking your name like a secret only the two of you share. In that moment, you feel like you've won. She's yours, you've made it. But something subtle starts to change. She's colder now, not in a way that invites confrontation, just colder. Her laugh feels a little too practiced. Her touch is there, but it doesn't land the same. Her eyes don't meet yours, they pass through you, and deep down, you feel it, don't you? The quiet unraveling of something sacred, the slow, almost imperceptible drain of your presence. You try to bring it up, gently, carefully, hoping she'll open up, but she brushes it off, says, "You're imagining things," says maybe you're being too sensitive, but you're not. You're beginning to wake up to a truth that most men spend a lifetime ignoring. She doesn't love you the way you love her. And that's not a judgment, it's a realization, a difficult one. Because we've been told a story, haven't we? That love is equal, that feelings are forever, that if you just give enough, care enough, love deeply enough, that love will always stay. But reality doesn't always honor fairy tales. The philosopher Schopenhauer saw through it. He pulled back the curtain on romantic illusion, not to attack women, but to challenge men to stop lying to themselves. He argued that beneath the charm and sweetness lies something older, nature, a biological imperative, a design, and while that design isn't evil, it is indifferent. Women, like men, are driven by instincts, by needs that served us long before we had words for them. Schopenhauer wrote not to mock women, but to free men from a dangerous delusion that she loves you for your soul, that your poetry moves her, that your depth alone is enough. In reality, love is often conditional, based on strength, status, protection, ability, potential. And when those things fade, when your presence becomes familiar instead of powerful, when your role shifts from protector to dependent, things begin to change. Not always out of cruelty, but out of design. So you start asking yourself questions. If she's not here for my soul, then what is she here for? Is it my strength, my usefulness, my image? What happens when I'm no longer needed? No longer impressive, will she stay? And these are not questions rooted in bitterness. They're rooted in awakening. Because once you realize the story might not be what you were told, you stop performing, you stop chasing, you stop begging for something that may never have been yours in the way you imagined. And this is where Stoicism becomes your weapon, not to armor yourself in cynicism, but to sharpen your clarity. The Stoic does not hate love. He honors it, but only when it's real. He does not cling to affection. He observes it. And if it changes, he does not crumble. He understands that people are allowed to change, but his worth does not. His value isn't measured by who loves him, it's measured by how he responds when love fades. He does not need to be needed. He does not fear detachment. He loves without dependence. And if she leaves, he does not collapse, because he knows that the man who stands alone and does not flinch is the man who is truly free. So don't hate her. Don't hate love. Don't harden into bitterness, but don't live blind either. See it all for what it is, the beauty and the illusion, the truth and the story, the mask and the soul beneath it. And when you finally see clearly, something remarkable happens. You stop chasing what was never meant to be possessed. You stop fearing the loss. And you start becoming what no one can take away. Yourself, whole, awake, unmoved, unbroken. There's a hidden problem that many men live with, silently, painfully, sometimes for years, and it's buried so deep beneath cultural conditioning, fantasy, and hope, that most never see it clearly. They feel it in the pit of their stomach when love starts to slip through their hands, when warmth turns to distance, when presence becomes absence. But they rarely name it. Why? Why do so many men refuse to face the reality in front of them? Why do they double down on illusion, even as their hearts are breaking and their dignity is unraveling? Because the lie is comforting, and the truth is devastating. From the time you were young, you were taught to believe love is sacred, that women are inherently nurturing, emotionally pure, naturally tender souls who want nothing more than to connect with the depth of your being. You were told that if you're kind, vulnerable, and emotionally available, you will be chosen. That if you give her your heart, she will cradle it like something holy. But Schopenhauer, one of philosophy's most unflinching minds, shattered that illusion with a single sentence. The man is the one who loves, and the woman is the one who is loved. And in that single line lives an uncomfortable truth. There's an asymmetry. Not because men or women are better or worse, but because nature doesn't design fairness, it designs survival. Men are often drawn to love itself, to the idea of union, to the poetry of emotional bonding. Women, Schopenhauer argued, are drawn to something more pragmatic, what a man represents, what he offers, what he can secure. And while that can sound harsh, it's not hate, it's clarity. It's a recognition that attraction and attachment often follow deeper biological patterns, not just soulful connection. Her draw to you may not be about your essence, but about your trajectory, your strength, your ability to protect, provide, or rise. This doesn't make her cruel. It makes her adaptive, strategic. She's not playing games. She's responding to nature's design. Schopenhauer called this nature's cunning, an evolutionary force that programs behavior not around truth, but around survival. Short-term sweetness, long-term security. Not from a place of evil, but from embedded instinct. The emotions that draw people together are real, but they're not permanent. They shift with context, with status, with perceived safety. Her love may have been deep, but it may not be fixed. Her loyalty may have been honest, but it might not be unconditional. That loyalty often lasts only as long as the value remains. Modern evolutionary psychology quietly confirms what philosophy once shouted. Researchers like David Buss have shown that women, by nature, tend to seek upward mobility in mating, a biological instinct called hypergamy, not out of calculation or cruelty, but as a built-in mechanism for survival and optimization. The ability to screen, test, and filter men for the best possible future is not a flaw, it's function. And maybe you've felt this. In the way she pulled back when your momentum slowed. In the silence after you opened up. In the moment she said something changed but couldn't explain why. You were told she'd stay for love, but nature wired her to stay for security, emotional, physical, social. This isn't personal, it's biological. And when you say she changed or she left after I gave her everything, what might really be saying is, I confuse biology with destiny. But Schopenhauer didn't write these truths to turn men bitter. He wasn't trying to create division. He wanted to wake men up from the dream, from the illusion, from the pain of false hope, because only when you see clearly can you stop suffering from what was never truly in your control. This is where Stoicism becomes your shield. While the romantic man is destroyed by disillusionment, the Stoic is transformed by it. He does not resist the nature of others, he studies it, accepts it, adapts. He stops demanding loyalty from the world and starts giving loyalty to himself, to reality, to truth, to a purpose greater than validation. He doesn't fall apart when someone else's emotions shift. He doesn't build his entire identity around being desired, because he understands what Epictetus taught. Don't hope events will turn out the way you want, welcome them as they are. That is the path to peace. And so, the Stoic man stops begging to be loved in a way she may not be capable of. He stops pleading to be chosen. He stops writing his worth in someone else's story, and instead he begins to choose himself, not with arrogance but with clarity. He sees love for what it is, beautiful, powerful, but never owed. He respects her nature, without surrendering his. He loves but he never begs. He gives but never abandons himself, and when she walks away he doesn't collapse, he stands whole, awake, untouched by fantasy, free from the need to be completed by anyone else. Because the man who sees clearly no longer chases shadows. He walks forward, eyes open, with peace as his compass and truth as his home. Man, not bitter, not broken, but unshakable, because now you no longer serve the myth, you no longer perform for the dream. You've seen the mechanics, the reality beneath the surface, and in that vision, there is freedom, but freedom always comes with a price. Because once you begin to understand human nature, not just hers, but your own, something irreversible happens. You start to see differently. The way she smiles, the way she connects, the way affection seems to flicker, sometimes genuine, sometimes strategic. And you realize it's not always deception, it's instinct, it's survival, it's biology. And that clarity, Schopenhauer's clarity, changes everything. The stories you used to tell yourself begin to unravel. The beliefs you carried like gospel begin to crack. You remember the moments you begged to be seen, not realizing you were asking for depth in a system built on adaptation. It hurts, of course it does, because this isn't just about relationships. This is about waking up from one of the most powerful illusions nature ever crafted, that your value as a man is found in being chosen. But now, you see the difference. You no longer beg to be chosen. You no longer live for approval, for validation, for the emotional currency of being adored. You rise from it. You become the kind of man who walks into a room knowing exactly what the game is without needing to play it. The kind of man who can love without losing clarity, who can lead without applause, who can suffer without collapse. This is where philosophy and stoicism collide and crystallize. You can still love women, you can still sleep beside them, laugh with them, build some. Here's the paradox. The moment you release the need to be loved for your true self, the moment you stop expecting someone to read your soul, carry your burden, or rescue your spirit, is the moment you begin to truly stand as a thing real with them. But you are no longer enslaved by the illusion that love will save you, that someone else's affection is your salvation, and that is a kind of freedom no one talks about. Because a man who no longer needs approval is a man who cannot be controlled. Not by the system, not by fear, not by fantasy. He lives by truth, not temptation. By clarity, not confusion. He is unmoved by sweet words and untouched by guilt. So this is your call to arms. Stop chasing the smile. Start mastering the self. Let the pain you're feeling right now forge you into something better, sharper still. Whole. If this made your chest ache, if something inside you cracked open but you also feel awake for the first time in years, type the words "I see" now in the comments. Not for validation, but as a signal to yourself that the pretending, the chasing, the performing it ends today. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready to burn down every illusion the world has fed you and rebuild yourself from truth, discipline, and awareness. Because this isn't about hating anyone. It's about waking up, about taking your power back, about choosing what is real over what is easy. And once you see it, you'll never be the same. And neither will the world.